Thank you very much for being here. We love you. I thought I could do this without looking at my notes, but I keep doing it right now. I'm going to have to look here. To the many family members, friends, and those that are gathered here this evening to celebrate Greg Mobley's short but invigorating life, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. To put it mildly, Greg was a hoot. Always smiling, always hugging, always about just hyperactivity. He was a raptor from the word go. From the moment the twins were born, they were just full goose bozo. That's the only way I can describe them. We are here to share some memories, sort out some sorrows, and give Greg a proper send-off into the misting. Great guy, loved by all. It shows the outpouring of to our family, our friends for being here. I cannot put into words my feelings for the outpouring of love from all of you over the past couple of weeks. It is truly appreciated, and I couldn't have made it without it. I will ask each one of y'all, no matter what, before you ever end a phone call with your kids, you tell them you love them. I had the fortunate to be able to do that with Gregory, and it makes me feel good in my heart that was the last words that we shared, so I feel good about that. He, at this time, has saved 5 lives as of Sunday a week ago. His heart was so big it took a while for them to find somebody who could be a recipient. And hopefully in a year we'll get to meet that person. I would love to hear that heartbeat. Please keep the family of the young lady that caused this tragedy in your prayers. Keep her family and her in your prayers. It's very important. Her life is unalterably changed. And everyone think about this. We had to think about twice of having this event up here at a vineyard because he was tragically killed by an intoxicated person. Think about this. Have a drink whenever. Use discretion. Use good sense. We'll get an Uber. I'll drive you home. Just be careful. And I ask that from the bottom of my heart for all of you. And lastly, I want to express my extreme gratitude for Jane, her husband, and most of all my partner, Martha. I could not have done this or gotten this week without her love and understanding. I would have not made it. So I just want to stop this right now, say hello. I'm glad all of y'all are here. Let's celebrate Gregory's life today. And we have a priestess here that's going to give a talk. We couldn't do this at a church or a funeral home. We just had Gregory come up here a time or two with me. Love the view up here just driving around. But we built a house many years ago over here on Sugarloaf Mountain. I used to bring him up here to see it before we moved into the city. So again, thank you for being here. I see a lot of familiar faces, beautiful faces. Thank you so much. Greg's friends, Chris and John's. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Come today to this beautiful place to share our stories and to share our grief. We gather together to celebrate Gregory Curran Mobley and his incredible adventure of a life. Some of us hold ourselves out in the world as teachers, as someone who has something to say. And in the system of yoga, there's 2 kinds of work in the world. There's the work that pays the bills, and then there's what we call dharma. It's your sole purpose. And I think Greg's sole purpose was he was a teacher. He taught us a lot about how to live a life. He taught us by living his authentic life, through the pure essence of being true to himself in a world that didn't always get him. He lived more life in his 29 years than many people do in 100. He lived his life as though it was a huge adventure, a quest for experiences. He was fully present in every moment. He never met a stranger. He looked everybody right in the eye. He was quick with a smile, and he was always the first one to reach out and grab you for a hug. And these weren't sideways, little halfway kind of hugs. When Greg grabbed you, it was a hug. And then just when you thought you were about to part, he'd pull you back in. Pull you back in. Greg also taught us a lot about generosity. He never wanted much in the way of material things himself, but the things that he had, he shared. He donated thousands of dollars worth of books to the Goodwill. He made art for friends and family. His dad told me the sweetest story about him making recordings for him music and being just surprised that he knew what kind of music he liked. He paid attention. He paid attention. He loved to cook, and he always knew what was in season and where to find it. Whether it was figs from the neighbor's yard or taking all of his mom's tomatoes. Exploring spices, combinations, the condiment king, right? And he loved to prepare delicious meals and feed friends. Another thing that he taught us, compassion. He absolutely loved animals. Was a very strict vegan. And this compassion extended to the earth itself when he would work in the garden. They told me about how he would never wear shoes, never wear gloves, so that he could feel the earth. And Mother Earth, her mud and her mess, didn't frighten him at all. Actually, Greg didn't seem afraid of anything. And that's something else he taught us, how to be fearless, how to approach life fearlessly. He was up for anything and into everything. Ultimate experience, ultimate sensation, not afraid to push out to the edges of life. And that expansiveness sometimes came with a heavy price. Greg learned hard lessons the hard way. He walked his path, but it wasn't easy. He wasn't a rebel for the sake of rebellion. He was just trying to figure it out. How to be himself in a world where his value system didn't always fit in. All actions come with consequences. And those hard lessons shaped his life. And now as we look back, it's easier to see how he created that compassionate man that we're celebrating tonight. He did what he wanted to do, and he did what made him happy. And as he did that, he spread light and joy to everyone he encountered. We cannot talk about Greg without talking about Chris. Not just twin brothers, but twin souls. A bond that transcends space and time, and I don't think anyone else here can really understand. But Chris, you are a living, breathing remembrance for a lot of us. That you have your own path to walk, and your own dharma to fulfill. And you'll have to forgive us if occasionally we seek you out, because we try to find Greg in you. Greg's life was his teaching and his offering to this world, and even in death, as his dad said, he made his body a gift. His lungs, his eyes, his liver. There are people alive right now because of Greg. And that physical heart took them a long time to find anyone who could accept a heart that big. What about our hearts? It can feel like your heart is breaking when you lose someone. Beautiful young man taken so soon and so sudden. I encourage you all to take the time to grieve. Even though grief cannot be a very comfortable emotion. Grief can feel like a thief. It can steal your moment, it can steal the joy, but it's an important part of the healing process. And to deny your grief is to deny your humanity. So feel the pain. Feel that pain of loss, and yet reach for the light. Talk, journal, reach out to friends. Don't get stuck in your mind. And don't be afraid of the cascade of emotions. There could be a lot of emotions here. Anger, hopelessness, confusion. But see those emotions for what they are. Don't permit them to take up residence within you. Do not allow them to harden your hearts. Which brings me to forgiveness. We must forgive ourselves for not saying the thing we might have, could have said, or doing the thing we maybe should have done, the things left undone. Let that go. And hardest of all, we must forgive this young woman who caused the accident. I'm not saying it will be easy. It will take time. But it is important. It is an important part of the healing process. And if we were to ask Greg advice on that, on how to handle our anger or sadness, what would he say? And the family said, absolutely. He would say, she deserves a second chance. She deserves compassion. And there will be times when this practice of forgiveness will be heavy and it will be hard. And Greg's family asks us to keep this young woman and their family in our prayers and our meditations. They have a very long road ahead of them, as do we. So perhaps from where Greg is now, he could tell us a little more about karma and why he had to go so soon. I always find the understanding of the earth being a school for the soul kind of soothes my heart in moments like this. The idea that some people come here to accomplish a certain thing or send a certain vibration out into the world, and once that's accomplished, they've completed their earthly curriculum, and they move on. So as we mourn, I'm not sure we mourn for Greg. We mourn for us. He's moved on to higher work, and we're left behind. And there's a space, an empty space, that he filled so beautifully. Our hearts struggle to understand the larger workings of the cosmos and the divine plan. Seek strength and solace from each other, sharing memories and sharing stories. Well, many of you have been to Greg's Facebook page, which has been a great place for people to gather. And Sarah Kirk posted a poem from Maya Angelou. And I'd like to read it now. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizen. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, falls away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always, irregularly, spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. And now we're going to hear from Chris.
I just want to apologize for Martha and my older brother for making them run around like crazy people trying to get this printed off because they're having some issues there. So let's give this a shot. I'm not really much on public speeches, but I thought I owed it to my brother. So having heard the news in Bali, I find myself at the bottom of Mount Batur volcano in Indonesia. The news came at midnight. The hike up the mountain was 3:30 a.m. to catch the sunrise at 6 a.m. So I walked up the rocky volcano barefoot in honor of Greg. Plagued with these thoughts of who, what, why, how, I decided to release and transcend any and all fear-based rationalizing and receive him in whatever form he wanted to manifest all around me. He came through in extraordinarily powerful winds at the top of the mountains, the sun emerging for a few brief moments out of the hazy fog at sunrise, winking at me with all the playful energies of the monkey at the top. He was a monkey. I've come here with the one and only intention of honoring and celebrating my brother's incredibly fascinating life, and I'll be damned if I fall anything short of that. He was the original. He was the original mobster of the Mobleys. He was a bridge capper of the mundane and the absolutely insane. Anything but ordinary, never repeat the same story. The more any of us tried to figure him out, box him into something we could rationalize or attempt to conceptualize in the limited confines of our minds, the more he challenged that. The more he scattered the limited spectrum of our concept of who he was or wasn't. He became that much more of a mystery, excuse my French, an absolute mindfuck to many of us. We were attracted to and ultimately admired his sheer element of surprise in every situation he ever encountered. Never a dull moment, he was always revealing a new version of himself to us, always in a constant stream of action. And if he ever did quote-unquote sleep, it never seemed like he was actually resting. Soon enough, he would get his peace when his time came, but for now, he had no time for any type of deep unconscious activity. He came here with one life mission or motto, and that was play here now, where you can sleep after. Yes, we can all admit, those who are closest to him, that he frustrated or infuriated from time to time on all sorts of occasions. But now that he's actually physically gone, we can't help but to cherish the entirety of who Greg was, because he taught us so much about what we take for granted on this sacred journey we call life, and his downright generous nature. And this is from one of Greg's newest made friends. Hey Chris, we've never met, but I was lucky enough to know your Greg. He was really an influential person in my life for the past year and a half. We skated together and had some good times enjoying the world, music, and nature. The first time I met him, he did two kind and really generous things. He gave his winter jacket to a homeless man in the freezing cold weather and rain. Later that night, he wouldn't accept a ride home for me unless I accepted a big bag of goji berries, $10, and a huge hug for barely a 5-minute ride home to your dad's house. Greg is the greatest, most beloved person I know on this earth. I absolutely loved him. There's all these little things that made up the everyday moments, minute by minute of Greg's life. He was never thinking about himself too much, but how could he be in service and enrich the lives and situations of all those around him? As I was riding on this plane, flying back from my tropical paradise, hungry for an organic Balinese watermelon I brought along, but find myself with nothing to slice it with.
Credit card.
Greg coming into my mind, reminding me I have a credit card, I can slice it with that. Thank you for your never-ending life hacks. I see you, I feel you, I sense your presence. You haven't gone too far. During our late teens and early 20s, in and out of jail, was the unfortunate fate the universe threw at the twin boys to test their willpower to rise above the system that never seemed to fit their free-spirited bohemian lifestyle. Until one day, when Greg came up to me and said, "Chris, enough is enough. Let's band together and use our twin powers constructively and figure this life thing out." He grabbed me, hands on my face, more serious than I've ever seen him, and he told me, we can freaking do this. That year, we made our first 50 grand buying and reselling software. He finally financially liberated me and helped me achieve an abundance mindset. To think of all the times that man put a smile on someone's face, or quite literally a shirt on someone's back, humbled me to degrees unfathomable. If there was any one person who built enough karma points for many lifetimes over just by his larger-than-life presence, it would be Mr. Sir Greg Mobley. If there was anyone who could bridge spiritual worlds, it would be him. This reminds me of a time where he did indeed have the gift of charm and undeniable presence. Presence for the homeless and the multimillionaire. As he was sitting at the bar, he strikes up a conversation with the homeless man to his left and the millionaire to his right. Come to find out, the homeless man and his family had recently become homeless because of a house fire earlier that week. One thing leads to the next, and he connects the two. And the man with millions finds much compassion in their situation, puts the family in a beautiful hotel for the next 2 weeks until they could figure out their next step. He rarely ever thought of himself, always pushing others to get as excited about life as he was. Life was genuinely like an ongoing music festival for Greg, and he wanted everyone to be a part of this beautiful, crazy life celebration with him. There was not one thing that was not contagious about Greg. His soul essence captured us instantly, and instantly could bring us from our minds back into the presence of our body. He was always overflowing with energy, and always finding ways to share and connect that energy with others. And this energy he shared with others was of extraordinary superhuman levels. And he would bike from state to state on his road bike, or when I used to lag behind him climbing the steepest portion of mountains, he would get behind me and literally physically push me up it. His energy wasn't to be contained in a single human body. He needed to explode back in the cosmos, sprinkling energy into all those around him. So, our connection was really solidified this past year when I was living in my beautiful island paradise of Koh Phangan, Thailand, and was able to offer some long-distance healing to him after he'd just ridden his bike 90 miles in the Florida sun and was extremely sick on the phone with my father, telling him he was about to check himself into the hospital. So I just asked Greg to remain open to some healing I would send him. Never tried this before, but after an extensive visualization session of healing him on a deep level, clearing his throat, third eye, and crown chakras of all energetic blockages, I awake the next day to him messaging me frantically in all capitals, requesting exactly what in the world I had just done, because his fever was gone, migraine's gone, chills, sore throat, and all that's left was a lingering cough. I was just as humbled and in awe as he was. This unlocked and opened a portal for us to experience these different realms, connecting us in dreams and in ways unimaginable. If anyone's interested in any more of these fascinating stories, just ask me. I'm grateful to share. So let's bring it back to this earthly realm, which most of us understand a bit better. A selfless, serving soul he was indeed. We would work our twin magic in the kitchen, rarely having to speak a word to each other. We just knew how to tag team it together. Most of the times, he wouldn't even eat his creations. He just loved to share it with others, including animals. He was known for making gourmet meals solely for his friends' dogs. Sharing food and exotic fruits with others was an important way for him to connect. Really fulfilled him in many ways. Friends would never forget the goji berries, bee pollen, jackfruits, cacao superfood balls, and creamy mami sapote Mexican fruits. And he wouldn't even think twice about it. He was just being his authentic self, staying true to his inherent purpose in this world. And this is just how he expresses overflowing joy for others, just excited to be alive, to see others alive, healthy and happy was his mission during his short but fulfilling time here. Greg was literally like my antidepressant. It was impossible to be in any kind of a funk around him. Watching him at almost 30 years of age still attempting to kickflip sets of 9 or 10 stairs on his skateboard, or skating drunkenly barefoot, doing 360 flips, seriously dissolved anything I could have possibly been dwelling on or any internal blues going on. Greg was a powerful being. He's a god amongst men. What I really respected about him, although, was his wild and untamed and always about ready to explode, as most of us know him. He respected me and would listen to me, silently and attentively, as I would ramble on and on preaching to him, either positively or negatively, depending on the situation. I was one of the few people he would seriously listen to. He really cared about me, and though he would never verbally show his affection for me, his actions always spoke louder than words. I would literally get messages in my inbox twice a month asking me what I was in need of, what I needed off of eBay or Amazon. Are you good on superfoods? What kind of herbs or essential oils do you need? How about Patagonia shorts or REI jackets? Do you need a pair of Chacos? Anyways, so let's also be realist. How am I taking this so well? Because he would only want his life to be celebrated and not mourned. Death is inevitable, and many think that this entails the end of the process, the journey, but I'm aware, but I'm here as a reminder that this is far from the truth. Convinced Greg really actually never landed in this dimension. He kind of had one foot in and one foot out, which is why I was never too attached to the idea of his physical form, because I knew he was always going to be wherever the universe willed him to be, even if it was in this physical realm. And if there's anyone who would be able to navigate the cosmic, spiritual, and astral realms, it would be Greg. He is an avid lucid dreamer and an astral realm explorer. He had kept a dream journal since he was 14 years old. And I remember when me and a bunch of our friends first discovered his dream journal when we were freshmen in high school, reading some batshit crazy dream scenario of his. And we all wrote him a letter that said, "Greg, what the hell is this? Love, Spencer, Ferg, Ben, and Chris." I think he got a little self-conscious and a bit embarrassed by this once he saw and read the notes. Sorry, Greg, yo. In the past 5 years, I've maybe watched under 100 hours of TV. So why did I find myself watching a drama with Will Smith called 7 Pounds while on the plane ride back home on the touchscreen TV on the airplane seat in front of me? I wasn't 100% sure, but for some reason I felt called. Basically, Will Smith ends up donating, appropriately, he ends up donating many of his organs while he was still living. Basically, he felt guilty for a car accident that was his fault and killed his wife and another family. So he ended his own life so he could save the life of Rosaria Dawson by giving him her heart, and so his eyes could go to Woody Harrelson to see again. Not only did Greg do the same on a physical level and save many lives with his organs, but on a deeper level, Greg was able to transcend this realm and left us all feeling a little bit better, a little bit more connected, like we all got a little slice of Greg before he departed. Greg left himself in little symbolic pieces scattered throughout everyone he ever knew. Always treating people as equals, never judging anyone for who they were or weren't, but just accepting and receiving them just the way they are and honoring them in whatever place or part of their process they're in. I feel like all the signs, all the spiritual work I've been involved in has prepared me for this moment. Not just to be able to deal and stay strong for myself and for my family and others in spirit, but to also take it one step further and connect even deeper with his spirit. What a phenomenal opportunity, I told myself after the initial grieving process. It would be such a disgrace to sit and be devastated and not celebrate everything he ever did and everything he ever did and ever will stand for. This is not what I've been preparing for, what I've been deeply meditating for the past 4 years. Spirit gave me the tools I needed, and now I need to apply them. This is just the beginning of a profound new life, so much sacred in each infinitely divine, precious moment. An opportunity to seize each moment and make the most out of it. No time to waste and not to be seen, and to not be seen. We are all God's. I literally feel and see him in everything. He had so many qualities I dreamed of having: outgoing, overly friendly to everyone, extroverted, hugged and kissed everyone he ever felt connected to, old friends, new friends, complete strangers, always making everyone feel loved and welcomed. But I learned not to envy, but just enjoy the energy we created together and the magic of our united presence that we had on others. Not everyone could keep up. I learned to stop comparing and start acknowledging and appreciating our differences that made us both uniquely amazing in our own right, and even more so together. I learned to love and embrace the twin tornado we were dubbed, the twin tornado vibrations that rippled out when we were together, and the impact we had on others and the memories we made for everyone. There was not 1 second here on this earth that I regret with him. He made my life so extra special and incredible each and every day. Just to know there was an energy out in the universe that was the one and only Gregory Mobley put a smile on my face every time, just knowing that. Thank you.
Now, let's just take a moment. I don't know if you meditate, if you can think of it as a prayer. But I'd like you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath, in and out. Dearest Greg, we know you can hear us. And we gratefully reach out into the astral to offer you our deep appreciation for your life and for the wonder that you shared with all the beings you encountered here on Earth. People, plants, animals, they didn't have to know you personally for you to have touched their lives, because you taught wordlessly. You taught through loving ways and freedom. You helped people who helped people who continue to help people. Through your very existence and vibration, you radiated the bliss of being. Thank you for teaching us kindness, for demonstrating fearlessness, for showing us that length of life is not necessarily quality of life. Thank you for sharing your legacy of the simple joy of existence, the simple joy of being exquisitely anchored in each moment of life. Come together this evening seeking peace and understanding. Dearest Greg, and all loving divine forces we attune to, Father God, Mother Goddess, help us to recognize these eternal truths. That love is the only way to live. that every moment of life is borrowed. Help us to remember, Greg, you are not lost from us. Your legacy and your memory and your gifts are eternal. We will continue to seek you in our meditations, in our dreams, in photographs and stories. And we vow that you will live on, not just in our memories, but through our own acts of great kindness and gentleness. We vow to live our lives fully and joyfully, to embody your smile in ours. We promise you will not be forgotten. Amen. Aum. Shalom.
Aho.
You want to own? If you've not ever done this before, you're in for a treat. My teacher says it's all the happy sounds. Ah! Ooh, okay? So deep breath out first, and then deep breath in. Out, 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 out. Deep breath in. I'd like to read a poem that is often attributed to St. Francis, although there's some controversy about that. That's okay. He loved animals, and so did Greg. And I'm going to read it just kind of like we're saying it. O Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, divine Mistress, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. And I'll close by reading this poem. I don't have a copy, so I got to pick this up. If you want to take a look afterwards, you're welcome to come on up. And it was written by Diane. Good. If you don't mind grabbing it, that'd be wonderful. Just take the whole thing. I don't need it. It's called Within Myself. Within myself, as a child, I celebrated the world with natural wonder, growing into understanding, ever mindful of a compelling desire to find authentic love. I, as fragile as butterfly wings, poised myself each day to take flight against my mind's fiercest fears, faithfully following the whispers of a restless heart, luring me along with the promise of bohemian bliss. I took with me only what I knew, peace, joy, and laughter, each wrapped in the experience of what I have always known, just the simple truth, knowing within myself I can be the messenger of universal, unconditional love. Now, in the name of love, I have autographed the future, pledging my last worldly gifts so yet others may find their dreams. Resting peacefully in the sanctuary of eternity's arms, I smile, knowing within myself time for me will forever be 11:11.
And as we ponder that poem, I'm going to sing a song called On Eagle's Wings, and it sounds like it was a song for Greg. See him soaring out there in this beautiful landscape that is in front of us. shelter of the Lord, who abide in his shadow for life. Say to the Lord, my refuge, my rock in whom I trust, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand.
This is so nostalgic.
The snare of the fowler will never capture you, and famine will bring you no fear. Under his wings your refuge, his faithfulness your shield, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. You need not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Though thousands fall about you, near you it shall not come, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. For to his angels he's given a command to guard you in all of your ways. Upon their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand, and hold you in the palm of his hand.
Waiting just this moment. Family does thank you so much for being here tonight, and does invite you to stay for the reception. We're going to take this moment, just open up, and release this dove as a symbol of Gregory's spirit ascending to watch over us all. Baby.
Look at that rowdy person.
So please do join them for food and fellowship. fellowship afterwards, please do, if you do choose to drink alcohol, do it responsibly, not just tonight, but forever. Please do reach out for your personal stories with the family. It's so meaningful, especially the special little details. For the parents, it gives them another view of their child, the view through your eyes, and that is one way to keep his memory alive, and it's so meaningful. If you can't snag them tonight, there's a lot of people here. Feel free to post on the Facebook page or in the coming months and the coming years. If you think of him, maybe reach out, because they're probably thinking about him too. We'll close by saying namaste, and the loose translation is, the light in me sees the light in you, and I honor you all, and we honor Greg. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for coming.
Friends and family, please join us inside. Eat, drink, and be merry.
Wow. This was perfect.